When the first Mortal Kombat was released in the 90s, it sparked a new era of fighting games. Ones that were digitized with darker themes to them. And for those who don't know what digitized graphics are, it's simply footage of actors put into the game as playable characters. So yeah, it was a weird time in history, but a time that I like looking back at every now and again. Let's take a look at some of my favorite digitized fighting games. And when I say favorite, I mean weird and interesting.
My name is Erica Storm. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Shadow: War of Succession is a 1994 fighting game developed and published by Tribeca Digital Studios for the 3DO. In Japan, the game is known as Shadow Warriors, but on the internet, the game is known as the worst fighting game ever made. The story goes that it is in the near future, and the head of the world's largest criminal network, Shadow, which stands for Syndicate of Hate, Anarchy, Destruction, and Organized Warfare, has just been murdered by an unknown assassin. The leader, his name is Shadow King. His death created a powerful vacuum within Shadow, a vacuum which had to be filled immediately. From around the world, 7 of Shadow King's best lieutenants from different branches of his vast criminal empire have come to do battle. The winner gets the ultimate prize, which is the right to be named the next Shadow King. And to the losers, there is only death. My favorite character in this game? It's easily Viper. Nobody knows anything about him, and he seems much more angrier than the entire roster of characters. And to add to the point of him being unknown, not even the developers know anything about him. He is the only character who just doesn't have any special moves or any information about him, because nobody knows. And it's funny because his mask, it just looks like it's slipping over his eyes half the time he's fighting in. He's just a fun time to play. The gameplay of this game is super obnoxious. Everything is at like YouTube ×2 speed with choppy animations, muddy controls, and ear-piercing noises. You can't even hear the music. I said you can't even hear the music! But personally, I love it. It's like taking a whole bowl of candy and competitively speed-eating handfuls of it. You don't even know what you're eating, it's just a big jumbled mix of everything as you gobble the mountain of slop. This is how I feel when playing this game. Eating rainbow-colored slop out of a half-busted open barrel filled with garbage juice.
Kasumi Ninja only on the 64-bit Jaguar.
Yeah! Kasumi Ninja was developed by Handmade Software and published by Atari. This game was only on the Atari Jaguar, making it the first fighting title to be released for the system. Now I'm noticing a trend here. Whenever I talk about any obscure fighting game, especially the bad ones, they're always exclusive to one console that nobody cares about and was just crap on launch. The game begins with an elder ninja named Gyaku. He kills 2 of his fellow elders through black magic and becomes possessed by a powerful demon after breaking the gate to the underworld. Your mission is to defeat Lord Gyaku before he destroys the Earth. Honestly, the elder named Gyaku is probably the coolest character in the game, as well as the elders he killed. I mean, come on now, who doesn't like palette swap ninjas? That, and I mean, the rest of the cast looks so boring, except for Liu Kang and Katana. The game also features parental controls, where parents can censor the level of violence displayed during gameplay. This is done by... you remember that weird phone pad on the controller? Well, you have to press a 6-digit code password on that controller in order to activate different levels of the parental controls. Now, taking a look at things, I mean, it looks pretty well put together. Nothing looks out of place. The animations and the blood effects, they're pretty smooth and I like it. It does look a little creepy, but that's fine. And also, the health bars, I mean, that's pretty unique. I don't know if it was a great decision, but I think it's unique. It gets much creepier though, so when you finish the arcade mode on a higher difficulty, everything cuts to black, and then all of a sudden you just see text on the screen saying time to die. Then you have to fight the end boss, which is a super satanic looking stage, and it looks like this guy is some sort of bug or snake mixed with a human. Apparently this is the ninja Gyaku, but he's at a full demonic transformation, so you gotta defeat him in this PowerPoint styled thank you letter will appear on screen from the developers. Alright, so I know mostly everyone knows about this game already, but I just have to mention it for those who have never seen it before. Okay, so Street Fighter had a movie. No, not that one. Street Fighter had a movie. And then they made a game based on the movie based on the game. And that game was Street Fighter the movie the game. The crazy thing is that this game is actually created by the people who made Bloodstorm and Time Killers, which were two interesting fighting games at the time. But yeah, this game, Street Fighter the movie the game, came out in 1995 for arcades. Now, there was a home port to the PS1 and Sega Saturn, but that was a separately produced game based on the same premise, meaning that although it looks the same, it plays completely different and is not the same game at all. During the filming of the Street Fighter movie, Capcom flew Incredible Technologies to Australia. That's where the movie was being filmed, and they captured animations for the game. Incredible Technologies then flew back to Chicago to develop it, so the game and the movie were both being made at the same time. Comparing this game to the rest of the series at the time, I mean, there's not much new besides the graphics and the unique combo system. The combos. They were completely busted. If you get hit one time, you just died. But I like how flashy the combos look though. It's one of those games you just boot up and just try and break it with creativity. So, I mean, that's cool.
27 years working on a game, it's ridiculous. I don't think there's any video game in the history of video games that have ever taken that long.
The game's always 6 months away. I don't think it's ever going to get to a point where he was satisfied with it.
You can't think about how it can continuously improve. You have to just put it out there. You have to stop.
Saving the best for last, we have Dark Presence. This is a modern fighting game using digitized graphics, created by the owner of Galloping Arcade, the largest arcade in the world. This arcade has it all, like the entire Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, and Street Fighter series on original hardware. It's an absolute blast. They also have a ton of unreleased fighting games like Primal Rage 2 and even Vicious Circle. I think it costs like $25 for a day pass. You can just walk in there, pay for it, and you can play any game as long as you want. They also have signed photos from the original Mortal Kombat actors, they have t-shirts, and a bunch of other merchandise. So, the owner of Galloping Ghost Arcade, his name is Doc Mack, and before starting up this arcade, he actually wanted to make his own fighting game, but this was way back in the 90s.
I hope to put out a game that everyone enjoys, that they're talking about is the next big thing.
And of course, at the time, everything was all about the digital graphics and the Mortal Kombat, and I mean, he wanted to do that, of course. So he wanted to make his own game called Dark Presence. But unfortunately, it was never finished. He really wanted it to be perfect, so much that he refilmed the entire game 3 times. But after almost 30 years, and the founding of Galloping Ghost Arcade, he made sure to never leave this original dream behind. The game was made, and it looks great. Doc, he poured a lot into this creation, and he even has a documentary made about it. What I think is funny is that he would walk up to strangers at the local gym and would actually ask if they would like to go to his warehouse and be the star of a video game. Now, I heard about this game a while back, but I didn't really pay attention to it until the making of this video. And with that said, I for sure wanted to give it a try before talking about it. So I gave Galloping Ghost Arcade a call to ask if they still had the game there. Because, you know, that gameplay was posted 4 years ago, so I was just gonna double check to make sure that the cabinet was still there. And that's when I was hit with some news. Dark Presence still isn't finished. I'm gonna be sick. So that made me a little worried because it's been almost 30 years. And the big question that everyone has been asking is, will this game ever be released? But I was told to go to the Kickstarter, and that's where updates for the game are posted. So I took a look, and yeah, he isn't wrong. The developers do post development updates there all the time. The last update was less than a week ago, saying that funding was a success, which confused me. After looking around on the Kickstarter a bit, I found out that it was only started last month. The gameplay posted 4 years ago was all funded out of pocket, and that was the developers holding playtest sessions in the arcade for people to play. So I think it's safe to say that that's a very early state of the game and they were still figuring things out. And now, they're about to cross the finish line. The game and the documentary will both be released alongside each other, and I can say things are looking really promising. I think if I made this video about a year or two ago, we would all be pretty unsure about what's happening to the game. So I consider this lucky timing. But yeah, we can definitely see a lot of promise here, and I do think that the game will be released, and when it is, I'll definitely give it a try. There's not a whole lot to see or know about the game since it's all under wraps at the moment, but it all looks so cool and I'm just so excited to hear more about it. So, what's your favorite Digitized game, or any weird obscure game in general? I would love to hear it in the comments. And before I go, I'd like to say thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate it.